Hi, it's Barbara and welcome back to my channel. I have 5 Dollar Tree winter DIYs for you today, so let's get started with project number 1. I am using these 3 wooden snowflake ornaments from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to fill those holes in with my premium spackling. So I did fill those in once, let them dry, and then I filled them in for a second time to make sure that they were nice and smooth and flat. And once I get those filled in and sanded down, I am also going to be using 3 of these square wood planks from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to use some of my Decor gray chalky finish paint. I love this paint. So I'll be painting 2 of the planks and 1 of the snowflakes in the gray. And then I'm also going to be using some Waverly white chalk paint, and I will be painting 1 of the planks and 2 of the snowflakes in my white chalk paint. So this is how they look once they have been painted and the paint has dried. And now it is time to assemble this piece. So what I'm going to do is take the wood planks and flip them over so that they are on the back side. And to attach these, I'm going to be using some of these large paint stir sticks that I picked up from Lowe's that you can get about 30 for $1. And I'm just going to attach those to the back of the wood planks with some hot glue, making sure that I keep those straight and secured and pushed together. Once I have those in place and the glue has set, I'm going to flip them over and attach my snowflakes to the center of each square. So I'm just going to put the gray one in the white square and then the white snowflakes in the gray squares. So I just tried to center it up as best I could, and then when I went to the next snowflake, I just kind of went based off of where the middle of the other snowflake was. Once I have my snowflakes attached, I'm going to create a hanger for the back. And I didn't want my hanger to protrude above the sign so when you hang it up you wouldn't see it. I'm using some silver tinsel cord from Dollar Tree, and I just cut a length off, and then I'm going to glue that right there on the bottom of the craft stick. And then I'll make sure that it doesn't show above the sign when I flip that over. And then I'll glue the other side as well, right there on the top part of the craft stick. And then to give it a little bit more stability, I'm just using some scrap ribbon, and I'm going to hot glue that on top of the tinsel cord just to make sure that hanger doesn't come off, so it'll set well. And then this project is finished. And I love how this one turned out. I absolutely love these colors. I love that gray chalk paint, and I'll have that linked in my description box below if you are interested in it. But I just think this is absolutely gorgeous. For project number 2, I will be using this gorgeous sign from Dollar Tree. I love the way this one looks. I'm just going to remove the back. It just has those tabs. Pull the tabs up and take the back out. And then I'm going to set the frame to the side because I want to keep that natural wood look with the beads in the frame. I'm only going to be using the insert, and I'm going to paint that with the same gray chalk paint that I did in DIY number 1. And once that has dried, I'm just going to reinsert that back into the frame and push those tabs down. And then I'm going to use 1 of the plastic snowflake ornaments from Dollar Tree that have this pretty glittery, shimmery look to them. And it doesn't fit perfectly down into the frame. It's just a little bit larger on the sides. So I just cut those 1 little rounded tip, and then on the opposite side of that, I cut the other rounded tip, and then it'll fit in there perfectly. And to attach that, I use some hot glue right in the center, and then I'm going to center that into the sign. And once I got that in there, the top and the bottom piece were just a little sideways, like leaning sideways, and I really didn't like that. So I took the tiniest bit of glue and put that under the bottom just to try to hold it in place so I could straighten it up a little bit more. And I did that at the top part of the snowflake as well. And that is finished. It is done, and I think it is so beautiful, and it was such an easy DIY. Let me know what you think of project number 2. If this is your first time visiting my channel and you enjoyed today's DIYs, I would love for you to click that subscribe button and the bell icon below this video. I would also love for you to visit me on Instagram at Country Lily Decor. For project number 3, I am using some stickers from Dollar General and some snowflake ornaments from Dollar Tree. I went ahead and cut the stickers that I wanted to use out, and I'm going to use my Waverly white chalk paint to paint the stickers as well as the snowflake. To fill in that hole on a snowflake, I am using some hot glue, and I have this sitting on some wax paper so that it doesn't stick to my table. Now, it did take about 3 coats of paint to cover up those dark stickers. And now I'm just going to set those to the side and start on the other part of this project. I am using this wood crate from Dollar Tree, and I was so excited to find this crate. My Dollar Tree doesn't typically carry these, so I was super excited to find them there. And I'm using 4 of the medium-sized craft sticks. I'm going to cut the rounded end off of one, and then I'm going to hold that up to the crate to measure the inside, what I need it to be so it'll fit down inside the crate. And then I'm going to cut that down, and I'm going to cut 4 of these because I wanted to cover that opening between the slats on the crate in the front and the back so that you wouldn't be able to see through there. To attach the craft sticks, I'm using some hot glue, and you can't really see it in this part of the video, but you will be able to see it shortly. I'm just running some glue on each side of the opening and then setting that craft stick in there. And I'm going to do that for both openings on the front as well as the back, and I didn't have to worry about the sides because they don't have any openings on there. So once I have the craft sticks in there, now you cannot see through those slats. And now it is time to paint it. I'm going to use that same beautiful gray chalk paint. I love this stuff. I know I've said that before, but I really do love the color of this gray. And I did paint the entire crate, including the bottom. It's not necessary to paint the bottom, but I did. And now I'm going to put my lettering on the front. To attach the stickers, I'm using some Mod Podge, and these stickers pulled up really easily off of the paper. And I just put the Mod Podge on the back of the stickers, and I'm going to use some hot glue to attach the snowflake. The stickers were pretty sticky, and they probably would have stayed, but I just wanted to make sure that they wouldn't come off, and that's why I chose to use some Mod Podge. And then if you miss any little pieces, like on the ends, like where I was holding it, I just went back in and added a little bit of Mod Podge to make sure it stays there and stays in place. Then I'm going to take some styrofoam from Dollar Tree, and these are just some extra pieces I had, and fit that down nice and snug in the crate. And I'm using 2 of Walmart's holiday picks, and I'm going to pull these apart, and I do use the entire pick except for I only use 1 of these bunches of the pine needles. And I do cut each one of mine down so that it'll fit in there nicely. So I put the pine needles right there in the center towards the back, and then these, they look like little fern pieces. And then these particular pieces, I am not sure what they're called. So if you know what these are called, please let me know in the comment section because I have no idea. And then I'll just put those leaves in and put a couple of those same pieces right there in the front. And then for the berries, I'm not actually going to attach those into the styrofoam. I'm actually just going to set those in there. And the pine cones have these little wire forms on there, so they were super easy. You just cut it and it unwraps from it. And then to cover up the styrofoam, I'm going to use some dried peat moss or Spanish moss. A sweet viewer of mine gave me this tip because before I was putting like some extra greenery in there to cover up that styrofoam. So I'm just going to put that in there, and I really like the way it looks. And I'm going to put it on the back side as well just to cover, so you wouldn't be able to see any of that. And I'm going to take those pine cones, and I do add 1 extra pine cone in the middle that I had in my stash. And this is complete, and I love the way this looks. It's going to look so good on my end table. So for project number 4, I will be using the sign from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to remove that little piece that's right there in the front. And I'm also using this gorgeous scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby. So I used my Cricut cutter to cut it out. Well, guess what? This sign is not square because once I had my piece cut out and I put it down right there in the insert, you could see some of the green on the sign. And I didn't want to tape it up and paint it, and I wanted to keep the frame brown. So I just pushed the insert out, and it was pretty easy to push out. And then I tried to remove that paper, which I was not successful at. So I just took my Waverly chalk paint in white and went around the edging just because the sign wasn't square. So if you saw any of it, you would see white and not the neon green. So if you do this project, I recommend pushing the back out and then covering up with the scrapbook paper. To apply the paper to the sign, I'm just going to put a nice even coat of Mod Podge on there, really emphasizing on the edges, and then lay my paper on there and straighten it out. And then I can reinsert that into the sign using some hot glue. I'm just going to run that. It's got like a groove there where the sign sits, so I'm just going to run the glue there and set my sign down and let that glue set up. And it's really cute the way it is, but I'm going to use some of Walmart stickers. These are silver, so you can buy a pack that has silver and gold and black, I believe. And I am putting Let It Snow in there. And then I'm going to use some of Dollar General's frosted pine cones, and then just some white berries that I had in my little floral stash. And I'm going to hot glue those berries right there to the bottom part of the sign. And then I'm going to glue those pine cones in there. I just felt like with Let It Snow at the top, the bottom part just needed a little something else. And I think this turned out so cute. I love that scrapbook paper. It is so pretty. So for project number 5, which will be our 5th and final project of the day, I am going to make something that complements project number 4. I'm using these 2 signs from Dollar Tree. They have these little grooves at the top where the corner of that hourglass is. And I just took some really heavy-duty scissors, and it cut off very easily. I'm going to do that for both signs. And I learned my lesson on project 4. I just pushed the back out. And they weren't too difficult to get out. Once I get the backing out, I'm going to take the rest of that same beautiful scrapbook paper, and I am going to trace this design on there, and then I'll cut that out with my scissors, and I'm going to do that for both pieces. And then once I get those cut out, I'm going to attach them using Mod Podge. And you want to make sure that when this Mod Podge dries, that you really take your time and cut the excess off, the excess paper. I'm going to use an X-Acto knife to get that excess off, because if you have the way the frame is set up, it needs to be like an exact fit to go back down in there, because it has these grooves at the top. And if you have any extra paper, it's just not going to fit back down into that frame. So I went all the way around the sign with my X-Acto knife and made sure I got all of that off. And then I can reattach it to the frame using some hot glue. See, right there at the top, it doesn't have that, it's where that rounded piece comes up. So you really want to make sure that everything is just like it was when it came out, so it'll fit in there, because it's a pretty snug fit. And I'm going to do that for both of those. Then I'm going to use 2 of these Dollar Tree snowflakes, and I am using some, it's like a plastic elastic stretch cord. I'm just going to feed that through the hole. And then with this stretch cord, what you do is it's like you're going to tie it. But when you loop it through one time, you'll loop it through the second time, and then you can pull it really tight, and it forms a knot right there at the top. And if you don't have this cord, you could use like some fishing line. I just wanted something clear so you wouldn't be able to see it. And then I put a little bit of hot glue there on top of it so that it would stay in place. And I wanted that string or cording to stay at the top of the snowflake. And then I'm going to cut that down to the length that I want it and hot glue the other end at the center top part of the sign. So I just used my scissors and kind of held it in place. And once that glue set up, I did put a little bit more hot glue on there just to make sure it stays there. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other sign. And these turned out so cute. I love how they turned out, and I love how they look with the sign we made in project number 4. They really complement each other, and they're very pretty. As always, if you have a favorite, please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you. Please take care, and I will see you guys next time.